Hi, it's Shane D'Elia and welcome to my home kitchen where I'm going to teach you how to cook something that's really dear to me, really easy to make, and it's all down to one key ingredient. It's my olive oil, my Cobram Estate extra virgin olive oil hummus with beautiful spiced lamb and pine nuts. So to create the dish, it's pretty simple. There's only two parts to it. There's the topping, which is a really beautiful, zesty, spicy lamb pine nut topping. And then there is the base, which is the hummus. Now, the hummus is the beautiful part, but you need to start that the day before. First thing you need to do is get some dried chickpeas, and these things you can just buy from the supermarket and keep in your pantry so you've always got them on hand. What you need to do with those, you need to get them in a big bowl. For this amount of chickpeas, that's about 150 grams. You need to cover them with a litre of water or more, and put them in the fridge over the night and let them soak until they fully swell up and they've become a little bit soft. The next thing you need to do is get those in a pot of water and get them boiling. But before we head over there, I'm just going to show you a little trick with some lemons. We're going to use lemons in the hummus and in the lamb. You just want to get them on your board, give them a quick roll, and what that's doing is breaking all the water cells inside because we're just going to juice them. So when we juice them, we want all the juice to come out. So just give it a quick rub, cut them in half, and head over to the stove so we can get cracking. Okay, so I've got everything that I need to start cooking, and that's one of the most important things when you are cooking at home, is to have all your prep done. It's just like in a commercial kitchen, because if you don't, you're running around, there's mess everywhere, you end up with a big mound of dishes at the end, and that's no fun for anyone. So I've got all my ingredients ready that I'm gonna need to make the hummus and to cook the lamb. But in the pot, I've just got those soaked chickpeas that I soaked overnight. I've placed 1 carrot, half an onion, 5 cloves of garlic, and enough water to cover. And I've just boiled that up until the chickpeas have become really soft. Okay, so I'm just gonna strain all that off, making sure that I keep all the residual liquor, because that's where all the flavor is. You don't wanna lose it. Okay, so onions, garlic, carrots, chickpeas, really beautiful flavoursome chickpea water. Haven't put any salt in as yet. Now it's just about a matter of bringing it all together. Just in your food processor at home, I like to use a Thermomix. I think they're the best on the market. They're really quick and they get everything that goes in there really fine. So just grab your lid off, chickpeas in the bowl, keeping that liquor. It's going to come in handy later. And now just get that whizzing up, nice and quick. While you're pureeing that, it's going to get really thick really quick. There's no moisture in there yet. The residual liquid's still here. But remember, I want this to be an olive oil hummus. So I want it to slowly add that olive oil until it gets nice and green. But before then, I'm just going to put in some tahini. And I think you can never have too much tahini in hummus. It's that really nice sesame flavor, nice and nutty. Don't think hummus always needs to be really garlicky. We've boiled the garlic cloves in with the chickpeas to soften them, but I'll add another one of raw garlic just to add some freshness, okay? A splash of the cooking water, just to help bring it all together, but I don't want too much water. Normally, I'd add all of it, but because I'm using olive oil as the base, I want the olive oil to help lubricate the dish. So turn it on, get it moving. And while it's starting to spin, to become smooth, I'm going to slowly start to add 500 mils of olive oil, of Cobram Estate olive oil. Just really gently. If you add it too quick, it's going to split. Same principle like you're making mayonnaise. Long and slow is the way to go. Okay, so that's come off the blender. It's really moist, really nice and green. You can smell all that fruitiness from the olive oil. I'm at home, I can do that. A little bit sweet from the carrots and those cooked onions, and that really beautiful fruity robustness from the olive oil. That's gonna be really tasty. The only thing it's missing is a little bit of that lemon juice to help cut it, and then we're onto the lamb. So just squeeze all the juice out of the lemon, placing my hand underneath to catch all the pips that may fall out. I reckon half a lemon might be enough. because you can always put a bit more in, but you can't take it out. So we'll start with a little bit, we'll add more if we need to. The only other thing that we need, pinch of salt, quick blitz, and that's done. Job done. Time for the lamb. Next bit. Hummus is great on its own, but if you want to make a bit more of a meal out of it and make it a bit more fun, you can put stuff on top. It doesn't have to be meat. I think it's really lovely with lamb. It can be fish, it can be chicken, it could be carrots. You know, you could saute up some carrots, they could be minced carrots, you could treat it in the same way and keep it completely vegan. It's totally up to you. But today, we're doing it with lamb. So, a bit more of this beautiful olive oil in the pan. You know, good twig. I am a chef. We just want to heat that oil up. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions is that you can't cook with olive oil. Of course you can cook with olive oil. It's a beautiful flavour. It brings out all the natural flavours of the meat. When I toast the nuts in there, it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to add a little bit of butter to add some nuttiness. And then at the base of it all is that really beautiful fruitiness that comes from the olive oil. So, a couple of knobs of butter in with the oil. Little trick, when you're cooking with any protein, whether it's meat, whether it's fish or chicken, if you can try to get the protein at room temperature before it gets in the pan, you always end up with a better result. When something's really cold and it hits a hot pan, it just tenses up really quickly, sticks to the pan. When it's nice and soft, it's easier to cook and it breaks apart a bit more simply, especially when you're using something minced like this. Now, as soon as the pan starts to foam up, and you can start to smell that nuttiness, that's exactly what we want. You can see a bit of a blonde tinge going on in there. That's telling me that it's ready for the meat. So, meat in the pan, just using a whisk, I'm going to break up that mince. We don't want clumps of lamb, or nice little pieces of lamb. Once the lamb is broken up and no longer clumpy, just going to let it fry for a few minutes. So I don't want stewed meat, I want fried meat. Okay, so that meat has become really nice and brown, starting to caramelise, but at the moment it's just butter, oil and meat. It's time to bring some love to the pan. So, I've got some pine nuts that I've already toasted. You could have added these in raw and toast with the meat, but I already had some toasted, so that's what I'm using. I'm not too crazy with pine nuts, okay? One of my favourite spices on earth, Aleppo pepper or pul biber if you're Turkish. Hot but not fiery, spicy but a little bit sweet. And if you have ever eat any of our dishes at Maha, I wonder where the heat element comes from. It's from this spice. You can find it in a lot of your sort of continental delis and European greengrocers, or you can find it on the Maha Go website. We sell this as a pantry item as well. So a good sprinkle, be generous, turn that down a bit. Right, yeah. Give it a good hit of salt, and we'll give it some more lemon. Stand back when you put the lemon in. You don't want that to splatter on you. Okay. Now all that needs is some parsley. Now I'm not going to chop the parsley. I've just got parsley leaves that have been picked. I'm just going to loosely rip those up. I mean, we're not at a restaurant, we're at home. There's no need to be going crazy and chopping up parsley on a board. And I actually like it when it's a bit bigger. It's something to bite into. A bit of a surprise when you're eating the dish. Okay. Now you can put whatever spices you want in there. If you want to put cumin in there, put cumin. You want some garlic and onions in there, go for it. But I think there's enough flavour in the hummus already. This is just a little bit of luxury to slide over the top. Time to plate up. Okay, it's time to put it together. Now, hummus on its own, you could just wait till that cools down, put it in an airtight container, a little smear of oil over the top so it doesn't dry out. It's a bit of a tip for you. Then put that in the fridge. This will last at least a week. You can also freeze hummus. You can freeze it, you can defrost it, give it a whisk back, it'll come back. I like to eat my hummus warm. I think it's not a traditional thing, but I think warm hummus is so beautiful. It's velvety, it hasn't set again, it hasn't gone lumpy or grainy. And when it's been pureed up like this with some really fruity robust olive oil. It's got a really nice velvet texture that's nice when it's warm because the olive oil hasn't been sitting in the fridge and solidified. So give it a go, okay? Warm hummus. Look how airy it is. And that's the benefit of doing it in something like a Thermomix where it's really nice and airy. I know my wife is gonna love this. It's one of her favorite things in the world. Okay. All right, now, a little bit wetter than say your traditional hummus. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about this olive oil one. It's really luxurious, really velvety. And all I'm doing is gonna create a little bit of an indent in the middle of the plate. And now really simply, just some of that spiced ground lamb, just in the middle. Look at all that beautiful oil and butter and lamb juices that have come out. And that's what's gonna make this dish really special. Okay, so just finish that off with the last bit of lamb and olive oil and spice and beautifulness. And because I'm a chef and I can't help it, I always have to finish something off by garnishing it. So a couple more of those little parsley leaves, just a bit of freshness, scattered around, can't hurt. We all eat with our eyes. If it looks good, it tastes good. So just put a bit of time into it, give it some love. And there you go. That's my olive oil whipped hummus with spiced lamb and pine nuts.